Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.
Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bush administration has done nothing to control the problem that we have. We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders since George Bush took office. It has become an extraordinary problem, and the reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position slip away. And oftentimes, employers are exploiting these undocumented workers. They're not paying the minimum wage. They're not observing worker safety laws. And so what we have to do is create a comprehensive solution to the problem. Now, I have already stated that as president, I will make sure that we finally have the kind of border security that we need. That's step number one. Step number two is to take on employers. Right now, an employer has more of a chance of getting hit by lightning than be prosecuted for hiring an undocumented worker. That has to change. They have to be held accountable.
Absolutely amazing. And it's kind of dumbfounding that the Democrats up in Washington, D.C., when a Democrat president comes up with any idea, oh, how great it is, and they're behind it. In fact, this was their first black president, although he wasn't. One parent was black, the other was white. But yet, when Donald Trump says the same thing, he's a racist bigot for wanting to shut down the border, for wanting to stop illegal drug trafficking and sex trafficking and gang members. They're stuck on stupid and then some. Anyway, if you had many places you could be tonight, you chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. I thank you very, very much. The Democrats just continue down this path of no return. Literally, no return. Let me share with you something from the office of Kamala Harris. She just put out this release. Los Angeles is my home, and I, like so many Americans, I am appalled at what we're witnessing on the streets of our city. Deploying the National Guard is a dangerous escalation meant to provoke chaos. In addition to the recent ICE raids in Southern California and across our nation, it is part of the Trump administration's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. This administration's actions are not about public safety. They're about stoking fear. Fear of a community demanding dignity and due process. Protest is a powerful tool, essentially in the fight for justice. And as the LAPD, mayor, and governor have noted, demonstrators in defense of our immigration neighbors have been overwhelmingly peaceful. I continue to support the millions of Americans who stand up to protect our most fundamental rights and freedoms. Thank God that woman is not the president of the United States and will never be. You may recall here recently in Governor Newsom interviews about the phone call that Trump made to him in regards to, why aren't you calling out the National Guard? Why aren't you doing something to stop these riots? And Newsom flat out saying that the call never happened. That the last time he had spoke to Trump was Friday of last week and had nothing at all to do with the riots. And Trump said, I talked to him for 16 minutes on Saturday about exactly what's happening and why aren't you calling out the National Guard? Well, President Trump hit back at Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom's claims that the president did not recently call him when Trump said he spoke to the governor for about 16 minutes on Saturday. Trump, while traveling to Fort Bragg, North Carolina today, said that Newsom did not pick up his first call, but he did pick up the second call on Saturday, and they spoke for 16 minutes. I told him to essentially get his ass in gear and stop the riots, which are out of control. Call in the National Guard. More than anything else, this shows what a liar he is by saying that I never called him. Then the White House Director of Communications, Stephen Chung, added in the comments this afternoon, the president did call Gavin Newsom to tell him to get his ass in gear. The governor has clearly decided to distinguishedly side with the violent rioters instead of protecting Californians. The only liar here is Newsom, who continues to fail his state as he prioritizes doing interviews with leftist media to gaslight the public instead of helping save his state. Earlier today, Trump held an event addressing wildfire response and prevention from the Oval Office, where he fielded a handful of questions from the media regarding the ongoing anti-ICE riots in Los Angeles, telling a reporter he had spoke to Newsom a day ago. I called him up to tell him he's got to do a better job. He's got to get this in gear. In a response on X, Newsom claimed Trump did not call him or even leave a voicemail. There was no call, not even a voicemail. Americans should be alarmed that a president deployed Marines onto our streets doesn't even know who he's talking to, Newsom posted on X today. Then Trump showed the actual screenshot from the phone, proving that they spoke and for 16 minutes. As well as the White House Communications Department, who has to patch the calls through, like the president just doesn't call up the governor. No, they have a communications person that does that. Hey, we've got the president on the line to speak with you. And confirmed that, yes, this did take place. Yet Newsom's office today said, we personally looked through the governor's phone. No missed calls, no voicemail, nothing. The last time they spoke was Friday when the governor called him. They just keep lying. That's all they got. How they can just continue to play this down, it's just become a mockery. I'm just embarrassed to admit that I used to belong to that party, that I used to be a Democrat. They've lost their freaking minds. And thankfully, we've got Democrats that are speaking out. John Fetterman, Democrat Pennsylvania, spoke out against the anarchy and true chaos in Los Angeles, declaring that Democrats forfeited moral high ground if they do not decry the violence. I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and immigration, but this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, assaulting law enforcement, Fetterman declared on a post on his X account, formerly Twitter. Ohio gubernatorial candidate Ramsamy noted, "It's hard to preach hard truths to your own side, but I respect that." Deputy White House Chief of Staff and Cabinet Secretary Taylor Budwich responded to Fetterman in a post, writing, "This is a wake-up call for many Democrats. There is no room for you in the party of at Gavin Newsom and at Kamala Harris. Their self-obsessed pursuit of power are blinded to you and your concerns. They defend chaos, reject biology, and are unbothered by the invasion of our nation." Senator Bernie Sanders, independent, says, "I've spoken out against violence," declaring on a post X, "Dr. King defeated racist government officials and ended segregation through discipline and nonviolent resistance. Defeating Trumpism, arcadry, or I can't even pronounce that freaking word they're using, and authoritarianism requires that same level of discipline. Violent protests are counterproductive and play right into Trump's playbook." So on one hand, Sanders admits this is a freaking shit show in LA. On the other hand, they're playing into Trump's authoritarian take over the world crap. So let's take a moment here and let me remind everybody of what's actually happening and how the Democrats in Washington, D.C. and the Democrats in political positions actually view in their minds the opposite of what you are seeing on your own television sets.
Nigga, I'm fake, nigga. I know you do, dog. I'll spit on your plate. I'll put my dick on your plate, nigga. Fuck your family, fuck your kids, nigga. That's all this. I can't sleep comfortably because of you.
He be fucking getting a whole fucking plate. He be fucking expecting us to give us a whole fucking shit. That nigga right there.
Do you go to Kava?
His fucking mom. Yeah, you do, nigga. Stop playing. Yeah, you do. Nigga, act like I don't know your fucking face. Stop fucking playing. Fucking talking about, can I get a fucking discount? Can I get a fucking this? Can I get a fucking that? That nigga right there. Point that shit at him right there. Point that shit at there right there.
He doesn't look like he go to Kava though.
Get going to no shit. Hell no. Hell no.
He ain't going to that cover.
What's your favorite thing to order at Kava?
Everything.
Proud of that, Democrats? That make you proud? Proud to be a Democrat? How about that? Remember, this isn't happening. It's smoke and mirrors. You're not seeing this. That's what they want you to believe. And too bad this guy didn't just go up and fly. No. He almost did.
Oh, shit. What the fuck?
No violence at all. Peaceful protesters.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Listen. Listen. Oh, shit. What's going on? shit. Hold up. Hey! Let's go.
The Democrats are lying to you yet?
The
Or you're not
LA
seeing it?
County Police say that they have it under control. Carrying a flag is not illegal, as you know. What did happen in 1992 was so different from what we're seeing now. I mean, that was a real riot.
Video after video has shown that these agents are the ones provoking protesters and also making up, aggression by these protesters that later video shows people were not aggressive.
We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is sending the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting.
Unrest is isolated. LA is home to millions of people, most of whom are having a normal day here on Sunday.
You know, you've heard reports that there are riots on the streets of Los Angeles. That is not what's happening across the city of Los Angeles.
Governor Newsom's right. There wasn't anything like a riot happening on Friday, Saturday.
We just witnessed a protester thanking a National Guardsman for his service here in California.
LAPD, by most estimates, had this under control last night.
No, I don't think the National Guard is needed now. Things in LA are calm. There was a protest that got a little unruly late at night.
There have been no violence where anybody that was protesting hit anybody, shot anybody, threatened anybody. Nothing has happened.
What is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn.
Most of those demonstrators were very peaceful. They were chanting, they were shouting. People were driving by, honking their horns. And even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed. Get it in your head. And so when martial law is called, what are you going to say? I missed the point. Don't miss the point, you all. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence. I was on the street. I know. And I went from downtown detention back out into the community, talking to people what happened in Paramount, what happened in Compton, what happened in Inglewood. So, first of all, get it straight. And don't just rely on what you're being told or the few incidents that you saw.
You didn't see any of that. What you're watching on the news isn't really happening. It's peaceful protesters. That's what the Democrats in leadership positions in this country would like you to believe. And if you don't, well, there's something wrong with you. Because you heard Maxine Waters. They were peaceful protesting when she was in the street. Well, I just recently showed you in a video her in the street in the daytime when they're not burning down shit and throwing rocks at police cars and setting shit on fire. But at night, they go batshit crazy. And yet, the Democrat-led media, liberal media, the Democrats in Washington, D.C., the Democrats in leadership position out in L.A. are telling you that what you're seeing take place isn't really taking place. They believe that you're that stupid. And their base is that stupid. Which I'm going to prove to you here in a little bit, just how stupid you are if you still follow the Democrat Party. And don't wake up and unask that party like I did, and so have many others. And many more are following suit, going, this is no longer the party that represents the American people. They represent chaos. They represent illegal aliens. They represent drug traffickers, MS-13 gang members, sex trafficking of women and children, murders, rapists, as long as they're illegal aliens, that's okay. They're supporting men and women's sports, defying biology. It's become a party that's lost its damn mind. Yet, many people out there are still sticking with them. None of that's actually happening. It's just made up. It's a conspiracy theory by Republicans and conservatives and Donald Trump and his authoritarianism, and he's going to take over the world. California GOP Congressman Darrell Issa is calling for an investigation into the allegations that the Los Angeles Police Department did not properly respond to protect the ICE officers when this whole thing started and they were being violently assaulted. And then this chaos broke out throughout the city. Issa, who represents California's 48th Congressional District and is a senior member of the House Judiciary Committee, said in a press release today, he is calling for a full and complete congressional investigation into the response time of the LAPD to assist ICE officers who were under attack, and wants to know who gave the order for them to stand down and not respond to help the ICE officers. For more than 2 hours, they battled this mess by themselves. Last night, over 1,000 rioters surrounded a federal law enforcement building and assaulted ICE law enforcement officers, slashed the tires of their cars, defaced buildings and taxpayer-funded property. Department of Homeland Security said in a press release, referring to the previous nights when violence broke out in Los Angeles in response to the ICE raids. It took the Los Angeles Police Department over 2 hours before they responded. So then, and if you don't know this, police chiefs are appointed by the mayor. And if it's a Democrat mayor, as Karen Bass is, she elects somebody that goes with her ideology. So he's a Democrat police chief, says, and his name, by the way, is Chief Jim McDonnell, who quickly put out a press release reassuring the public that the department does not participate in immigration activities, and then pushed back against the Department of Homeland Security's claim that they didn't help the ICE officers. When we heard that, I think everybody's who's a police officer couldn't believe it. And certainly anyone with LAPD couldn't imagine how that could happen, McDonnell said to reporters. Well, it didn't happen. McDonnell claimed that the actual response time, ready for this, drum roll, was 40 minutes due to traffic. How many LAPD officers are in Los Angeles in the city at any given one time? I guess he wants you to believe that they're all kept in a building, a location somewhere outside of the city. And when a call comes in, they have to go to that place and drive a distance. And because of traffic, it took them 40 minutes. Well, although we know it was over 2 hours, but the fact that this idiot said that should be all you need to know about Democrats in leadership positions. The police chief of LAPD wants you to believe that it wasn't 2 hours, it was only 40 minutes before we could get officers there to assist the ICE officers being attacked because of traffic. You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. Hell, South Park wouldn't run with this kind of thing. Saturday Night Live probably wouldn't run with this kind of thing because it's just too fucking dumb. Nobody in their possible right mind would believe that this is the truth. This guy is a total disgrace to the men and women in law enforcement at the LAPD. He's a disgrace to California. He's a disgrace to law enforcement as a whole. He should resign immediately. Take off that uniform. Take off that badge. You're not a law enforcement officer. You basically took your oath, put it in the toilet, and took a shit on it. Are you kidding me? Traffic kept your officers from responding to other officers under direct attack. There was more to that story, but I can't. My blood pressure is too bad right now. I'm not going to go there because it just gets dumber. So, you know how the Democrats up in Washington, D.C. love to talk about how Republicans and conservatives incite violence. We're the violent party. We're the one that calls the chaos. We're the ones that call for violence in the streets, violence against political officials. It's us in red, not them. You all heard that. If you've heard it once, you've heard it a million times, right? Republicans are the ones that are inciting violence.
Uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
You need to go back and then punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
Feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to...
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
And even when you show them this, they still deny it. They still deny it and say that Republicans and conservatives are the ones inciting violence. They can't believe when you show them the evidence coming out of the mouths of their leaders how horrible and pathetic it is. Now, shout out to Officer Tatum and One American News for what I'm about to share with you. They did a great job with this.
Death to America on the side.
I see that death to America and something even worse to the right of that. The average person is not going to support this at all. These people that are here, they're not peaceful protesters exercising their First Amendment. They all have matching signs, mass produced. And this is despicable. It actually does the exact opposite.
What do you make of this narrative of mostly peaceful, as you know, we're seeing bricks being thrown at police cars being set on fire. We saw the Waymo cars, looters, the attacking of the ICE agents. They're blocking freeways. They're blocking roadways. I mean, the 101 freeway, I grew up in Los Angeles. The 101 freeway, if even one lane is closed, it's a disaster.
Yeah. The people are trying to label this as mostly peaceful. They're just gaslighting the public. I mean, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? I mean, that's how they're playing the game. It's actually 10 years of sanctuary policies and a lot of chest thumping that federal law doesn't apply. Well, federal law does apply, and now they're seeing the results of that.
I wanted to take the day off, but I can't. You lunatics better never say anything else. You shouldn't have never said anything else about January 6th if you lunatics aren't going to talk about what's going on in LA. If you lunatics weren't going to talk about what went on in 2020, the summer of love, burning police cars, killing people, and destroying property. And now look at these people in LA and all over the country are literally bludgeoning police officers for doing their job. In the mainstream media, the line, look at that, we got Trump in the background. The line, disingenuous media, is acting as if Trump is out of line for deploying the National Guard. They're bludgeoning police officers. They're throwing rocks at police cars. They are doing the most. This is domestic terrorism. They're burning stuff. They're injuring people. They're flying a foreign flag. Come on. Come on. January 6th, look at this. It's all over the country. They got the whole street blocked off. January 6th, maybe they had a confrontation with some cops. They went in the Capitol building, came out on their own recognizance. They didn't even have to use the National Guard. These people walked in and they walk out. They literally will kill people if they just get away with it. And they definitely are trying to. I don't want to hear nothing from you lunatics about January 6th ever again, unless you address what's going on in LA, what's going on in Seattle, what's going on all around the country. They doing it right here in Arizona. Maybe you want to go down there and act a fool, but I ain't going to do it. I'm going to let the cops do their job. But I just had to throw that out there real quick. Happy Sunday.
So, what has this chaos that the Democrat leadership has caused, what has it done to Trump's approval ratings? If the Democrats are correct, then Trump should be run out of the Oval Office by now. His ratings should be like Joe Biden's were in the last year, down to damn near zero. Right? Well, when CNN comes on and shows you that what the Democrats are doing is backfiring, maybe you should wake the fuck up and pay attention.
At the baseline numbers here, this is Trump's net approval rating on immigration. It's gone up like a rocket. Compare now versus 8 years ago during Trump's first term. Look at this. In his first term, Trump was way underwater at minus 21 points. But look at this. He's up over 20 points. Now in the aggregate, he is in positive territory at plus 1 point on his net approval rating. Some other polls even have it a little bit higher than that. There is no issue on which Trump is doing so much better than he was in his first term, more than the issue of immigration. No wonder the Times has written up the way that he is. Trump is begging for a fight on this because he knows what he's doing so far is working with the American electorate.
Where does immigration rank on issues for him? How is he doing compared to other issues?
Yeah, so I think what's so important is it is his top issue so far. And the reason it is his top issue is because take a look at the individual nuggets in here. Why are people approving of Trump on immigration, approve of these different immigration actions? Well, Trump's administration's program to deport those here illegally. Look at this, 54% approval. How about agents searching your hometown for those that they think are here illegally? Again, positive territory here, above 50% for Donald Trump. So it's not just on the broad issue of immigration where Trump is doing well. It's on the specifics. When you dive into the issues, Trump is above 50% and his actions are above 50%, at least with those most directly connected to what's going on right now out in Los Angeles.
So Donald Trump, the president, picking a fight on this. And to an extent, you see Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, a Democrat, and the California Governor Gavin Newsom pushing back. So what do voters see in terms of their perceptions of Republicans, the president, or Democrats, say Gavin Newsom, on this issue?
Yeah, the American electorate believe that the Democrats don't have a clue on the issue of immigration. I mean, you could just take it here. Closer to trust more in immigration, Democrats versus Republicans. Got 3 different polls for you across the board. They all tell the same story. Republicans lead on the issue of immigration. You see it here, CBS +6. You see it here, CNN +6. You see it here, Ipsos, even bigger, +19. No matter what poll you look at, no matter which way you cut it, the American public is with the Republicans. The American public is with Donald Trump, and to a much greater extent than they were in term number 1. And it's not just on the broad issue of immigration, it's on the specifics as well, in which the American public is with Donald Trump and the Republicans. And that is why Donald Trump is eager to take on this fight and eager for those scenes out of Los Angeles.
I was just going to use that word eager. This explains some of that eagerness to push forward ever more on this as it escalates. Harriet, and thank you very much.
I rest my case. What else do you need, Democrats? What else do you need? Well, maybe here in a minute, I will help you figure that out. But first, let's look at some other news. The Associated Press, aka the AP, you might remember that last month refused to refer to the Gulf of America by its new name and said that they will never do so. They will always call it the Gulf of Mexico, regardless of what Donald Trump says, because they don't like Donald Trump. They have Trump derangement syndrome. So the Trump administration then said, well, guess what? You're barred from being in person to talk about what the president's doing. You can't go to the press briefings anymore in the White House. You can't go to Mar-a-Lago. We're not going to let you on Air Force One. We're going to strip you of your presidential press pass. So the AP went, ha, 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 watch this. We're going to sue the fuck out of you because you can't do that. You can't stop the freedom of the press. We're allowed to say whatever we want to. We're protected under the First Amendment. So they filed a lawsuit. Well, it went all the way to the Supreme Court, which ruled that the administration does have the right to restrict access to the president as they see fit. Well, now the AP is pissed off because they've got egg on their face and they look stupid. And now they will no longer do biased journalism, biased reporting when it comes to Trump and his administration. And therefore, shooting themselves in the foot and losing all credibility as a news outlet. Here's an example. This morning, AP reporter Snung Min Kim wrote the following piece, which can be found on the AP's website right now. Donald Trump made no secret of his willingness to exert a Marxism approach to enforcing immigration laws and keeping order as he campaigned to return to the White House. The fulfillment of that pledge is now on full display in Los Angeles. The president has put hundreds of National Guard troops on the street to quell peaceful protesters over his immigration raids, a deployment that state and city officials say has only inflamed the tensions. Trump called up the California National Guard over the objections of the Democrat governor, Gavin Newsom. The first time in 60 years a president has done so and is deploying active duty troops to support the Guard. They can't even get something right without lying about that. But overriding Newsom, Trump is already going beyond what he did to respond to Black Lives Matter protests in 2020 when he warned he could send in troops to contain demonstrators that turned violent if governors in the states did not act and do it themselves. Trump said in September of that year that he can call in the National Guard even if the governor refuses. But now, the past current president is moving swiftly with little internal restraint to test the bounds of his executive authority in order to deliver on his promise of mass deportations. What remains to be seen is whether Americans will stand by him once it's operationalized nationwide as Trump looks to secure billions from Congress to dramatically expand the country's detention and deportation operations. California officials sued the Trump administration on Monday, with the state's Attorney General Rob Bundin arguing that the deployment of troops trampled on the state's sovereignty rights and their constitution. The initial deployment of 300 National Guards and then 4,000 that followed was not allowed under the California Constitution. Is the AP so damn stupid that they don't realize? I mean, they have to know that the United States Constitution of America trumps every state's constitution, no matter what you put in it. And federal law trumps all state law, no matter what you put in it. That's common sense. We learned that shit in elementary school, for crying out loud. And the AP is doing the same shit that the Democrat leadership is doing, which is lying and making shit up. And then, of course, you got all those news journalists, experts on places like YouTube that have millions of followers and subscribers spewing left-wing, far-left ideology from hell. And people believe it because, oh, they got 2 million followers or 3 million followers, instead of using their own damn brain. They're just stuck on stupid. That's all right. Keep it up. Midterms are going to be here soon enough. And you're going to see that it's over with for the Democrat Party. Just flat out over with. I'm sure you've all heard about what's happening right now with the Chinese Communist Party. If you haven't, let me refresh your memory on this, or if you haven't heard it at all, maybe you're here for the first time. The U.S. is target number one for the Chinese Communist Party, said retired General Jack Keane, saying they're beefing up their defense for a possible attack against America. China is conducting the most comprehensive penetration of our society since we were formed 250 years ago. And we've never seen anything quite like this, he said today, weighing in on news that a third Chinese national has now been arrested for attempting to smuggle into America biological chemicals to destroy our farmlands. Not to mention that you're buying up land all around our military bases. Not to mention that many of them are being arrested for flying drones around our military installations. Not to mention that during Biden's term as president, he allowed a Chinese spy balloon to float all the way across America and only shot it down when it got to the East Coast over the water because it was exposed that that's what it was. They weren't even going to tell you about it, nor do anything about it. Oh, that's because of the Biden's family ties with the Chinese Communist Party, which we all know about now. It's all come out, how they were making millions and millions of dollars and giving China this just free run to do whatever the hell they want to do. We've got a lot of problems in the world right now. Not to mention what's happening here in America. We've got this chaos with Iran that's about reached its boiling point. It's a matter of moments now before we just say fuck it and turn that place into a glass parking lot. That should have been done a long damn time ago. We've got this bullshit with Hamas terrorists supported by Iran attacking Israelis. We've got North Korea saber rattling and wanting to get a nuclear weapon and take out the West Coast. And then we got what's happening within our own borders. And now we're finding out more and more that the Chinese didn't win by killing enough Americans with the China virus. So now let's try and sneak people into America with biochemical weapons to wipe out their farmlands, their crops, their cattle, their chickens. How many news organizations are reporting on that right now besides Fox News? You hear that on CNN or MSNBC? Oh no. All they want to talk about is anti-Trump this, anti-Trump that, Trump derangement syndrome on full freaking blast. And that's pretty sad. It's pretty pathetic what this has all come down to. And it's only going to get worse before it gets better. Now, tonight's show was a lot about the absolute craziness of the Democrat leadership and an eye-opener, hopefully, to many regular Democrats out there, registered Democrats that aren't in the political scheme of things, that are just everyday Americans out there trying to do their job and go to work and support their family and put food on the table. You know, maybe now that they've seen their own leaders lying to them about what's happening in LA, they'll wake the fuck up and go, I don't support this. What the hell is Hank Jeffries talking about? What is Alejandro Mar or AOC? What are they talking about? What is Cory Booker? Is Cory Booker lost his mind? Maxine Waters, is she drinking? Gavin Newsom? Where are you? You're not there. What happened, dude? Maybe, possibly, now that you see it in their own words and the facts of what's really happening, you're starting to wake up. Now, before the riots, if you tune into my show on a regular basis, you know that I've talked in depth about my time as a Democrat and how my whole family were Democrats, Democrat members of Congress, Democrat governor of the state of Louisiana. I was well deep in the Democrat Party until it started being hijacked by far left liberal ideology. And then going into the Army in 1985, realizing that, wait a minute, and this is only after the internet came about, really, and we were able to really see factual information that they're racist. I was involved with the most racist party ever to exist in America. I don't want to be called a racist. Why would I want to vote Democrat if they do this crazy shit? If they did all these horrible things and continue to do it today? So here's two little clips to end tonight's show to prove my point that if you are a registered Democrat, you're supporting a racist party, racist against African Americans.
Half of the 19th century, 4 million blacks worked as slaves imprisoned on plantations in the American South. They were prevented from learning how to read, their families were forcibly broken up, and if they tried to escape, they were severely and brutally punished. The owners of these plantations were almost without exception Democrats. Before the Civil War, slave-owning Democrats used black bodies to massively increase the number of votes they got in Congress and the Electoral College. Because of the 3/5 compromise, a single Democrat in Georgia who owned 5 slaves got 4 times the representation as a single white abolitionist in Pennsylvania who didn't own any. So for Democrats, it has always been about using black bodies for political power. How they are used may vary, but the plantation model remains a constant, even today. Despite the fact that blacks are no longer enslaved, many black children barely learn to read in poorly performing schools. Our families are often shattered by misguided welfare policies, and if we try to escape, we still face punishment. Of course, the plantations of the 21st century are not physical, they are virtual. The owners of these plantations are once again, almost without exception, Democrats. Think about it. What today are certain areas of Chicago, Baltimore, Detroit, St. Louis, Atlanta, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia, all run for decades by Democrats, but virtual plantations? Many who live in these areas are largely, if not totally, dependent on their masters, the politicians, for their food, housing, and health care. It's hardly a fair exchange. The politicians become wealthy. The residents become boat slaves, sustained just barely by government transfer payments. And just like the plantations of yesteryear, which demanded a consistent breakdown of the black family to reinforce its system of buying and selling slaves, Democrats today incentivize similar family corrosion through their policies, fostering dependence not on mom and dad, but on the government. To give just one example, virtually every inner city school provides free breakfast and lunch. Sounds generous, but what it really does is remove the traditional responsibility from parents by handing it over to the state. Yet many do break free from this oppressive system. Like the fugitive slave Frederick Douglass once did, they run toward a better life. But leaving the plantation still entails great risk. Of course, today it's not the whip or the lash, it's libel and slander. The purpose is to bring black conservatives within an inch of their professional and sometimes personal lives a warning that rebellion will not be tolerated. Don't believe it? Just ask Dr. Ben Carson, Hoover Institution economist Thomas Sowell, or Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, to cite 3 prominent examples. Carson, one of the most celebrated brain surgeons of the modern era, has been called stupid by the legacy media because he has conservative political views. Thomas Sowell, who went to Harvard and taught at Cornell, Amherst, and UCLA, and may be the nation's most brilliant economist, has largely been ignored, while many lesser lights have been celebrated. Clarence Thomas, one of the luminous legal minds of our time, was the victim of a massive smear campaign during his nomination to the Supreme Court. Because of his conservative views, his reputation was dragged through the media mud. This is how he described the experience. It is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves, to do for themselves, to have different ideas. And it is a message that unless you kowtow to an old order, This is what will happen to you. You will be lynched, destroyed, caricatured, rather than hung from a tree. Today's plantation owners will do anything to hold on to what they see as their property. Little wonder. In 2012, Barack Obama received 93% of the black vote. In 2016, Hillary Clinton received 88%. That dip was a critical factor in Clinton's loss. The Democrats know that they can't lose the black vote and win a national election, so they make up lies. They say America was founded for the purpose of perpetuating slavery. They say white people hate us. They say the entire system is racist and that our only hope is them. The same old Democrats. The plantation owners know what will happen if blacks demand that their children receive a good education, if they shake off their dependence on government handouts, if they refuse to see themselves as victims and instead embrace all the opportunities America offers. The plantation system would collapse once and for all. In the 19th century, we had to depend on others to be liberated. This time, we have to do it ourselves. Will we? I'm Candace Owens.
When you think about racial equality and civil rights, which political party comes to mind? The Republicans or the Democrats? Most people would probably say the Democrats, but this answer is incorrect. Since its founding in 1829, the Democratic Party has fought against every major civil rights initiative and has a long history of discrimination. The Democratic Party defended slavery, started the Civil War, opposed Reconstruction, founded the Ku Klux Klan, imposed segregation, perpetrated lynchings, and fought against the Civil Rights Acts of the 1950s and 1960s. In contrast, the Republican Party was founded in 1854 as an anti-slavery party. Its mission was to stop the spread of slavery into the new Western territories with the aim of abolishing it entirely. This effort, however, was dealt a major blow by the Supreme Court in the 1857 case Dred Scott versus Sandford. The court ruled that slaves aren't citizens, they're property. The 7 justices who voted in favor of slavery, all Democrats. The 2 justices who dissented, both Republicans. The slavery question was, of course, ultimately resolved by a bloody civil war. The commander-in-chief during that war was the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, the man who freed the slaves. 6 days after the Confederate Army surrendered, John Wilkes Booth, a Democrat, assassinated President Lincoln. Lincoln's vice president, a Democrat named Andrew Johnson, assumed the presidency. But Johnson adamantly opposed Lincoln's plan to integrate the newly freed slaves into the South's economic and social order. Johnson and the Democratic Party were unified in their opposition to the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, the 14th Amendment, which gave blacks citizenship, and the 15th Amendment, which gave blacks the vote. All 3 passed only because of universal Republican support. During the era of Reconstruction, federal troops stationed in the South helped secure rights for the newly freed slaves. Hundreds of black men were elected to Southern state legislatures as Republicans, and 22 black Republicans served in the U.S. Congress by 1900. The Democrats did not elect a black man to Congress until 1935. But after Reconstruction ended, when the federal troops went home, Democrats roared back into power in the South. They quickly reestablished white supremacy across the region with measures like black codes, laws that restricted the ability of blacks to own property and run businesses, and they imposed poll taxes and literacy tests used to subvert black citizens' right to vote. And how was all of this enforced? By terror, much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest. As historian Eric Foner, himself a Democrat, notes, In effect, the Klan was a military force serving the interests of the Democratic Party. President Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat, shared many views with the Klan. He resegregated many federal agencies and even screened the first movie ever played at the White House, the racist film, The Birth of a Nation, originally entitled The Klansman. A few decades later, the only serious congressional opposition to the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 came from Democrats. 80% of Republicans in Congress supported the bill, less than 70% of Democrats did. Democratic senators filibustered the bill for 75 days until Republicans mustered the few extra votes needed to break the logjam. And when all of their efforts to enslave blacks, keep them enslaved, and then keep them from voting had failed, the Democrats came up with a new strategy. If black people are going to vote, they might as well vote for Democrats. As President Lyndon Johnson was purported to have said about the Civil Rights Act, I'll have them voting Democrat for 200 years. So now, the Democratic Party prospers on the votes of the very people it has spent much of its history oppressing. Democrats falsely claim that the Republican Party is the villain, when in reality, it's the failed policies of the Democratic Party that have kept blacks down. Massive government welfare has decimated the black family. Opposition to school choice has kept them trapped in failing schools. Politically correct policing has left black neighborhoods defenseless against violent crime. So when you think about racial equality and civil rights, which political party should come to mind? I'm Carol Swain, professor of political science and law at Vanderbilt University for Prager University.
And because of those two videos at Prager University, the Southern Poverty Law Center has added them on their list of hate groups right there next to, ready for this? The KKK. Because two highly educated black women spoke the truth about the Democrat Party. And I've been screaming this on this show and in videos ever since I started it, letting you know why I'm no longer a part of the Democrat Party. Besides the fact of them allowing far-left liberals to infiltrate the party and destroy it with their crazy ideology. They were a party from its inception that are racist, and to this day, in every major metropolitan city in America, with a Democrat mayor and Democrat leaderships, you will find that the black community is living about the same as those in caves in Afghanistan. That's where the black on black crime is, black youth gunning each other down in the streets like an epidemic, black drugs flowing and killing their neighborhoods, their houses deteriorating, their businesses closing. It's just a shit show in every Democrat-run city in the United States of America. And yet, there are still people that are clueless to this. And even some, when you tell them the truth, you show them the truth, you prove the truth to them, facts just don't matter. So, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. If you are a registered Democrat, I'm not saying you need to become a Republican. I'm saying you should switch parties and at least become an independent. Otherwise, you're supporting racist, bigot leadership. It's on full display up in Washington, D.C. The elders of the Democrat Party are racist bigots. Wake up, Democrats, and realize that you've been lied to. And they're continuing to lie to you this very moment with what's happening in LA. You had many places to be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you very, very much. If you haven't already done so, whether you're watching me tonight on a YouTube or Rumble or X, formerly Twitter or LinkedIn, please subscribe to the channel, share it with your family and friends. Let them know that if they have little ones in the room, that every now and then Mr. Doug says a bad word or two, or sometimes 20. But you get the message. And watch out for one another. Seriously. Let those in your family that you care about know that you care about them. Because we're only here for a very, very fraction of time. And one day we all have to leave to go on to whatever your religion leads you to believe. My faith tells me there's a bigger and better things after death. Yours may not. Maybe you're an atheist and you don't believe in the Word of God. I don't know. I'm not here to preach to you about that. I'm just here to tell you that we got to be kinder to one another. And we got to realize that when evil is in our country, hurting us, hurting law-abiding citizens, we must stand up against it and stop it, and stop the spread of fake, false, crazy, far-left ideology that is destroying this country. I'll be back on Thursday night for another live show. I hope that you will join me. Until then, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families in our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for being here tonight. Have a wonderful and blessed evening. If something breaks of very importance to American patriots between now and Thursday, I will either do a video about it or I will do a live show. But until then, good night, everyone.